In early recovery, your nervous system is raw. The usual emotional padding is gone, which means a completely ordinary conversation can suddenly feel deeply hostile. A single stray comment hits the surface, and immediately the tension spikes. You have entered what we call ignition mode. At this moment, your brain registers a literal threat to your survival, flooding your system with adrenaline. Every tense conversation operates on two levels: the surface and the depth. The surface is the literal words being traded back and forth. The depth is the emotional current running underneath. Once ignition mode takes over, the person across from you is participating in a hidden conversation driven purely by internal anxiety, disregarding the actual words being spoken. You can watch this shift happen in real time. Before the argument escalates verbally, you will see sudden physical signs of distress. They might pull in a heavy, sudden breath, or rigidly turn their head to the side, as if physically rejecting the words you are saying. Identifying these hidden conversations requires a basic observation of physical distress signals rather than mind reading. Maintaining emotional sobriety requires identifying and disarming these biological distress signals before they spiral into a full-blown trigger or relapse. There are two primary subconscious body language tells that indicate a person feels unsafe in the current dialogue. The first cue is the lean away. When you ask a question that causes discomfort, the instinctual drive is to create immediate physical distance from the topic. Moving even 1 inch backward proves the individual's brain is attempting to literally escape the room. The second, more severe biological tell is the neck touch. From an evolutionary standpoint, the neck is the most unarmored, vascularly exposed part of the human body. No matter how much muscle you build, this pathway remains completely vulnerable. Touching or covering the face and throat during a debate is a primitive reflex to shield the body from what feels like a physical attack. The moment either of these physical cues appears, the interaction has entirely shifted into a biological survival state, and the logical argument has ended. Countering defensive body language with more facts or logic will only escalate the tension further. You have to execute a redirect, pulling the conversation completely out of its current context and environment. Pivot away from the dispute by asking a disarming, big-picture question about their underlying emotional struggle, such as, "What has been your biggest struggle this year?" A spike in emotional tension represents a fixed amount of biological energy that simply requires a controlled release. Allowing the other person to vent their underlying frustration empties their ignition mode reserves and restores their ability to listen. Shifting focus from the surface argument to the deeper emotional reality is the fastest way to dismantle conversational defenses and rebuild mutual safety. The single most difficult, yet mathematically effective de-escalation tool is the 5 to 7 second pause. Execute this tool by offering zero justification and using no filler words, simply allowing silence to hold the room. In the eternity effect, those few seconds feel agonizingly long to you, but project absolute authority to the receiver. This deliberate void of sound forces the aggressive party to sit with the weight of their own tension, which often prompts them to self-correct. Mastering the tactical pause establishes you as the emotionally grounded anchor in the room, shifting the power dynamic in your favor. Once the 5 to 7 second pause has concluded, you move to the final execution step. You cleanly sever the tension with a precise phrase. "I'm going to need some time to think about that before I respond." This phrasing works because it offers zero resistance for the aggressor to push against, effectively placing them in a conversational headlock. You can practice these exact de-escalation tools within the safety of the Outreach 419 communication group. Protecting your emotional sobriety requires deploying the right tools to maintain your peace, regardless of who wins the argument.